Welcome back to the Not Carrie Bradshaw YouTube channel. In this video, I'm recapping episode 7 of Bigger on BET. I'm so invested in this storyline. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I've already finished the series. I have been trying really hard to just watch each week. I'm too curious, I'm too invested, I'm too nosy. So I already know what's gonna happen, but you know, this is the beginning of things to come, so it's fine, whatever. We just gonna talk like I don't know anything or like y'all don't know anything, whatever. So Lane got curved by two dudes in one night, and who among us? You know, it happens to someone, not me. I don't try because I don't enjoy rejection. This isn't about me. So Dion is taking her on a road trip to, you know, get her out of the house, get her mind off of things. Lane is unshowered and very much bothered by what's happening in her life, and understandably so. So they're on this road trip where Lane is basically going through the stages of grief. You know, fair, but it's also like we're kind of curious, like, why are you actually struggling with this relationship that you had one foot in, one foot out? Anyway, so Dion is trying really hard to cheer her up. And one of the things that I found myself smiling really hard, because I've absolutely been in this situation with a friend where it's this level of comfort, this level of someone knowing you that well. It can be a setup. It can be tricky because you start kind of looking like, look at you knowing me. You know, so he has like her favorite snacks. I just want to say, I too love a Toblerone. If you have never had a Toblerone, bitch, I might go get a Toblerone right after I do this. It's so good. It's chocolate and it's honey and nuts and ooh. The chocolate alone, it's delicious. Anyway, I love that Lane enjoys a Toblerone, but I felt seen in that moment. The fact that he had two fashion magazines and the way that he described it as small people wearing oversized clothes, which is accurate these days, especially for Lane's style. I really like how Lane's style is progressing in this series. She has such a unique sense of style. I really like it. And it just speaks to the fact that obviously she's in fashion, which we didn't see that in this episode because homegirl, you know, is rough. She's going through a breakup. But anyway, you know, he knows she has this interest in fashion, so he has her favorite snacks. He has, you know, something to keep her interested. And then he starts playing my boo, trying to send subliminals. Of course, the friends are, you know, checking in, trying to see how Lane is doing. Lane is not well, okay? Lane keeps bursting into tears, and I just want to say, Lane cries a lot like Kim Kardashian. It's so dramatic, which obviously, if you're moved to tears, but it's so dramatic that it's comical as opposed to, oh, I feel bad for you. It's like, are you serious right now? Kind of, and I say that as a crier, and I'm not a cute crier. Ain't nothing cute or funny about when I cry. When I start crying, it's like, everyone clear the room. This bitch is disturbed. So as they get into the town, they go to this diner where Dion is, you know, really well known, and he's very charming with all the older ladies in the diner, and it just really endears you even more to his character, because I forgot when we first started with this series, I was like, Dion's kind of a dick. I really didn't see it for him. His character development, I think, is coming along really nicely. So I absolutely love the banter that he had with the older waitress of, you know, telling her her husband collect guns. And Lane is like, oh my gosh, this is like Cheers, but instead of High Norm, it's High Dion. And he's like, what's Cheers? Let's pull over right here. People didn't watch Cheers? People don't be knowing about Cheers? I love that intro song. As an aside, I've always found the footage that goes with the introduction song to Cheers to be creepy. Some may write about it. It scares me. I don't know if it's because it's white people from, you know, yesteryear. Some about them people look real scary, but I didn't know people don't know what Cheers is. Anyway, um, when they're sitting down and they're talking, I recognize this very fundamental difference between the two of them, which is that Dion is really happy that he left this small town. And Lane, I think, kind of has a romanticized idea of what a small town could be and kind of feels like Atlanta is a rat race and she could really see herself being in a small town. Dion doesn't really want that. And so I wonder if that's a fundamental difference that's going to make a difference later on. But I found that to be really interesting as they were having that discussion, like, and then Lane kind of slips up. I don't know if it's a Freudian slip, but she's like, Dion is like, if I had stayed here, and she says we'd have kids by now. And I was like, bold? You better be a bold bitch, letting a man know you got those kinds of plans. I'm gonna listen to that song later. Wale with Usher. Good song. Anywho, so they get back in the car, they're en route, and Lane is having an identity crisis, again, stages of grief. I think this might have been the part where she was at bargaining. And she's like, maybe I need to cut my hair. Maybe I should get tattoos. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. And she's also Insta stalking Greg while also kind of trying to be manipulative, like sending random letters via text to make it seem like she butt texted him just so that he'll reach back out to her because he has not been responding to her, obviously, because he broke things off. And Dion insists that she dodged a bullet because he's like, dude was really kind of controlling. And Lane is kind of like, based on what? The fact that he tried to like take you to a spa for a day and fed you. I am curious why Dion just not like that because it was Greg and because he has these feelings for Lane, or like what really was the issue with that? Because he was kind of a party pooper that whole day. But Lane feels like she may have missed out on a really happy married life, on that stability. Again, this kind of idealized future that she was willing to settle for. And it looks like Dion, someone who likes the city, maybe that's not what Dion really wants. So again, things to consider. So he gets fed up with this kind of pity party that she's throwing for herself. They pull over in this junkyard. She's looking at this car that looks a lot like the car that she gave up so that she could refurbish her vintage store. And he lets her know, you're not a victim here. Everything that has happened is a result of your choices. You need to face yourself, own up to your shit, and move forward. And I think in friendships, there has to be enough space for a friend to pull you in. I don't want to say call you out, but pull you in a little bit and kind of like let you know about yourself when you're not being your best self. I think that that's important. And I think you have to have a certain kind of rapport, a certain level of intimacy with someone to be able to do that in a safe space. And, Dion loses it because number one, she's making him late on the way to basically to see his mom. And he's fed up with the pity party. This just triggers an existential crisis in her. She starts going through her career path and what she did with school and that she's the common denominator. So he's trying to kind of backtrack it and like reassure her that she actually is, a good person and a good friend, and especially to him. And then, of course, this is like a backwoods, like small town, and they are in a junkyard. So, somebody comes out and is like, y'all don't get the hell off my property. So, of course, they get back in the car and they're having this conversation. And I have absolutely been in this situation before where like a possible lover turned friend kind of situation was saying all these really good things about me, but this person had curved me. I know, can you believe it? Yes. And he was saying all these good things about me, and I was just like, but you didn't choose me either. So, like I was going through a heartbreak, and he was like, you are so dope. You're so these things, and you're blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yet you also rejected me. So here we are. And that's really what happened with Lane and Dion, where she's like, so I'm all these things, but what happened freshman year? Thank God, because I too wanted to know what happened with them freshman year, that like he left her room, pulled the sister card, and they never revisited this relationship again. So this argument, we don't really see the end of it. They end up at his mom's house. I do not enjoy people with his mom's energy. I gather that Dion is the man in her life, that she relies on him financially and relies on him to come fix things in her house. And it's like, girl, I understand that it's really hard to date, but I have a serious problem with parents who treat their kids like they owe them something in that regard. Like, I really, really don't like that. And I don't like her energy. She was just rude to Lane, like off rip. I don't like people like that. I don't know why that's so triggering for me. Maybe that's something I need to sit with and journal about or something, but I really, really don't like that. So he's basically going down what they call a honey-do list of just, fixing things around her house. And, Lane is helping out. And again, these are these kinds of activities that, okay, I am a feminist, but there is something about seeing a man do stuff, like fix things and, be handy, that is really attractive. I get it, so this whole montage of fixing things around the house, put it in my veins. May as well have been porn for me, honey. So they end up having a heart-to-heart that night where Dion's mom has made it very clear there will be no sex had in her home. Fine, even though he pays for it, but you know what? Fine, your house, your rules. And they have this heart-to-heart where, good question, why doesn't Dion open up more? Like the fact that they've been friends since college, but none of them really seem to know what his home life is like, that he's taking care of so much for his mom, for his family. We find out that he pledged for his dad because his dad was also a Lambda, and after his dad left his mom, he didn't really feel like he needed his approval, I guess, as much anymore. So he didn't really care about the fraternity anymore. And it's interesting that they both lost their dads, but in different ways. From what I gather, Lane's dad passed away, and he was the one who kind of championed her fashion career. And it seems like he was more of a buffer between her and her mom. And that's something that maybe clearly she and her mom needed in their relationship. And again, maybe why her mom was not a part of the engagement conversation, because they just don't have that kind of vibe anymore. So he also finally says that he remembers what happened freshman year, because when they had the argument earlier, he's like, you bringing up old shit that I don't even remember. And she kind of low-key stole his car for 5 minutes. I don't know what that was about. Like, where you gonna go? But he says, I do remember freshman year. I had just crossed, girls were interested in me, and I just felt like I wasn't really ready to be the kind of man that you needed or deserved. So I would rather be your friend and stay in your life than end up being someone who hurt you and, whatever. And I think that's very noble. And I also think it's very noble that he was honest with her and gave her that closure on that situation as well. And I think it's very sweet. I think that kind of honesty is what most of us really wish we could get from people when it comes to romantic situations. For some reason, it's just really hard for people to know and or say what it is that they want, and or actually follow through with those things. But another video for another day. So it's the next day. They're leaving to head back to Atlanta, and Dion's mom does make a good point, because Dion's mom can pick up on a vibe between the two of them, and she's convinced that there's something afoot here. I too, obviously. And, she warns him about the fact that she's still wearing another man's ring. Why is Lane still wearing this ring? Like, if y'all broke up, you didn't give the ring back? What do y'all think about that? Drop down in the comments and let me know. When you break off an engagement that quick, with such a quick turnaround time, is the expectation not to return the ring. If I was engaged to someone who I didn't want to be with, unless I literally needed that money for collateral, and I probably wouldn't even feel right pawning it, I think I would give the ring back. Like, I don't want to be connected to you in such an intimate way, but that's just me. I also have not been in that situation, so I don't know what I would do, but speaking from right here, I feel like that's what I would do. So they get in the car, and Lane is like, you know, where do we go from here? And he just very lovingly says, we go home. And that's where we left off on episode 7. I continue to be in love with this show. This episode was really, really cute. I really enjoy movies and TV shows when they can effectively do comedy with just a car, with just like with limited scenery, with limited, you know, not like Malcolm and Marie. That was not a comedy, that was a horror. I maintain that was a horror, but I enjoyed that there weren't as many additional characters in this episode. It was mostly Lane and Dion, and of course you had some ancillary people in there, but I thought this was a really cute episode. I absolutely adored it. I cannot wait to review the next episode, which I've already seen, but you know, we're gonna wait. So thank you guys for joining me. Drop down in the comments, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Be sure to subscribe and share and like, and if you are happy with what you saw here today, become a patron of mine to help me continue to create free and wonderful content. Bye.